Hey, welcome back to the Vikings Playbook. This is your host, Steve Hoikkala. And again, Vikings Playbook, where your Sunday starts here. Make sure that you're following us on X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you're trying to and you haven't yet subscribed to us on YouTube, make sure that you do that. That you can search by going to Vikes Playbook. And if our subscribers reach 250 users, as you saw before on Thursday during our round one coverage, we got a beautiful Jordan Addison jersey that is autographed and authenticated for you. Once we reach 250 viewers, we'll be doing a giveaway for one of those jerseys to one of our 250 subscribers. So once we reach that point, we'll be going ahead and doing that. And we'll also be doing a fun little card break, if you will, and possible giveaway if you're able to guess what team the player in that one-of-one card break at the end of the show is. So we'll be doing those giveaways throughout the season. We'll be upping our follower subscriber count and doing other Vikings autograph jerseys throughout the season. So really cool things that we have coming for the Vikings Playbook show. And I hope that you guys are able to stick with us throughout the season, maybe win one of those jerseys as well, too. Two-Toned, I see you. Hey, we just had the NFL draft. We finished up round 3 today. Two-Tone says had one of the better drafts this season, I believe, anyways. Two-Tone, we're going to dig into that today. I'm going to have my boy Kinetik that's going to be joining here in just a little bit. He's running a little bit late, but we're going to dig into that, the draft, of course, and then we're going to take a look at the depth chart, what that currently looks like. And, did Rob Brezezinski do enough to retain his current job at least as the interim GM when they start doing the search? The Wolves had said after the draft happens, they'll do a 2-week process to search for a GM. So we'll be talking about, hey, maybe some of the moves that we liked, what we didn't like, and at least initial thoughts of did Rob Brezezinski do enough to retain that job. Now, if you're not already tuning in and taking a look at what we're doing at purpleptsd.com, I also write for them. Please make sure that you're checking them out. They also host this podcast as well, too. We got a lot of great writers over there, so check it out, purpleptsd.com. We're giving you guys Vikings news daily. There's a lot of great writers and content over there, so please make sure that you're checking that out. And then coming up this season, I also host a podcast and a website, fantasy15football.com, where we have not only my co-host Ryan, and then you saw Mark as well with me on our round 1 draft coverage on Thursday for Vikings Playbook. But Ryan and Mark are also part of our Fantasy 15 fantasy football team. But check it out, fantasy15football.com. We'll be spinning up our podcasts on Wednesdays as we get closer to the fantasy football season. We'll be having a full 2026 draft kit that we're going to roll out this season, and then also some updated rankings. And then we also have what's called Fantasy 15 Fan Chat. So check that out. It's where you can collaborate with other fantasy football managers, start leagues together, and also ask us, when we're not doing podcasts, who you should start, trade in different scenarios as well throughout the fantasy football season. So very cool. Check it out. We'll also be doing some jersey giveaways, not just Vikings related, through Fantasy 15. So make sure that you check that out. I'm excited about it and hope you guys are too as we get closer to that season. All right. So we're going to dig into our first topic while we're waiting for Kinetik to join us. And, it's one thing that I didn't think was going to happen, because I just thought that the Vikings were going to hold on to him, and I think that they wanted to hold on to Jonathan Greenard, but it didn't end up happening. It really didn't. I'm going to go ahead and throw this on the bottom. Like always, if you have any comments for myself or our guest Kinetik, once he jumps on the show, make sure Kinetik. Make sure, there we go. Gotta update that on the ticker, but make sure you put that in the comments, whether you're tuning in from X, YouTube, or Facebook. Make sure you put them in the comments, and we'll go ahead and we'll ask those live. So awesome. Jinx Morningstar says hi. Barber Fade Up's with us. All right. He says loves the draft. We'll dig into that too. I want to get your guys' feedback on each one of these draft picks. Scotia Network Brev, my guy, he says, what up, y'all? Just got home from Pittsburgh. Brev, if you feel like jumping on with us too tonight, make sure I'll go ahead and send you a link. You just let me know if you want to tune in and jump in with us here tonight to kind of go over the draft. Brev, actually, he tried, it wasn't very good reception, but Brev tried to join us after the draft. He was there in Pittsburgh. He got to witness the draft and kind of had that feel. So I would love to have you on if you could jump in. All right. Brev says he can jump in. So I'm going to go ahead and add Brev in here. Let me just send you a link here real quick, brother. All right. Brev. There he is. Brev, it's coming to your DM right now. And then you can go ahead and jump in with us. All right. And I just see. Awesome. Skull Pat's with us. He just subbed. Thanks. Again, once we get to 250 followers, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, I got a signed, autographed, and certified JSA Jordan Addison jersey. So it's an away white one with the purple numbers on it. I showed that during the round one draft. I'll have some kind of an ad for it as well too. But once we get to 250, I'm going to give away to one of our YouTube subscribers that Jordan Addison jersey. So make sure that you're sharing this show out to your friends. Once we get to 250, one of our lucky followers, subscribers on YouTube is going to get one of those jerseys. And I have another one and another one and another one of different players that I'm going to be doing jersey giveaways this season as we set different levels for subscribers. So cool stuff coming up. All right. I see that. Awesome. I just see that Kinetik joined us. I'm going to go ahead and welcome him to the stage. Now, Kinetik, he was able to join, and Kinetik, you joined for almost the entire first round of the draft live with me here on Vikings Playbook. I appreciate that so much, and you gave some good in-depth analysis throughout. But how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I feel like I've been like I've got some great news. When the Vikings drafted my guy Max Brezezinski, I am so happy. I've been pounding the table for him for months, telling everybody that I could that he is the kind of guy that the Vikings want. He's going to embody the spirit of the team. He's going to become so important to that locker room. I promise you, he's the guy that every fan, when they see him talk, if they meet him, they're going to instantly become fans. And I am so happy to have Max Brezezinski as a Viking.
Barber Fade Up, so smash that like button. Appreciate that, Bar. And he's happy to see you, Kinetik, as well, too. So, Baby,
what up, Barber?
Barber Fade Up is with us. And I apologize, guys. I've been battling for like the last 10 days. I had to go to the walk-in today, get some meds as well, too. My voice is struggling, but we're getting through it, guys.
No, I've been there. I know.
So we do have, if you didn't catch it, Brev is actually, he's back from Pittsburgh.
He's actually
gonna jump on with us and give us some feedback as he was there live with the draft. But the first thing I want to jump in with you, Kinetik, is going to be talking about the trade that we made with the Eagles with Jonathan Greenard. So that's the first topic I want to jump into. And with this, Jonathan Greenard trade to the Eagles, it was rumored for a long time, and it possibly slipped out before the draft as well, too, that, I think somebody let it slip before it was supposed to be public, but it was out there. So we all kind of thought something was brewing, and sure enough, it was. And what we ended up seeing is, Tom Pelissero, shot this out right away. And then we finally got the details, but your reaction to it, because Jonathan Greenard to the Eagles for 2 third-round draft picks. I think for a long time, a lot of fans wanted a first, hey, at minimum, getting a second for him. And then Minnesota got 98 overall in the draft this year, a 2027 third, which we can best expect that's probably going to be a late third-round draft pick. And then Philadelphia got Greenard, and we gave them number 244 in the 7th round. What's your initial reactions as far as not just the trade itself, but also like the value that we got in return from Greenard. Did we win? Did we lose? Did we break even? Did we get fleeced?
I consider it a little bit of a win, especially when you're dealing with Howie Roseman. Is that his name? I think.
Yep.
Especially when you're dealing with him, it's hard to come out on the winning end of deals with him. I think a lot of people, I mean, getting a first for Greenard was never going to happen. They saw what the trade was, the proposed trade for Max Crosby, the trade for Trey Hendrickson, and people expected us to get that for Greenard. But as much as we love Greenard, he doesn't, and Brev can back me up on this, I think he didn't have the same type of on-field production over the course of a season to warrant that type of price. I always thought it would be a day 2 pick, like a second round and maybe a day 3 pick. I think getting a third round pick this year and a third round pick in next year's draft, which is a little bit higher value than a third round this year, that's kind of like getting a 2 and a 3. And I think that's outstanding value for Greenard.
Brev, welcome back from Pittsburgh. We'll get into the draft and kind of exactly what that was all like for you. But, we're kind of on the topic right now of Greenard. So just the Jonathan Greenard trade to the Eagles. What's your feeling? Eric thinks like, hey, we got some decent value from the Greenard trade. We saved some cap space in the process. That may allow us to go out and get maybe a better wide receiver 3 for this season as well too. What are your thoughts, Brev?
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, cool. I threw everything together. Like I literally walked in the house like
Appreciate
30 minutes ago. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, the Greenard trade, I didn't want to trade him. I really didn't want to see him go, but I was pretty steadfast that you weren't going to get a second round pick. But to Eric's point, getting a third this year and a third next year, it kind of feels like a second round pick. And I know a lot of the fans that aren't casual seems like a mean term, but if they don't see that 2 in the trade haul back, they'll be pretty upset. But it's a stacked draft next year. I don't know how much, and I'm sure we'll get into this. I don't know how much of a fan I was with what they did with the third round pick this year, but purely from a trade perspective, this is something that I was tipped off on, that a deal was in place with Philadelphia like 3 weeks ago. So I wasn't shocked at all to see Greenard go. But I think it was a good trade. You save a good amount of money this year and next year. Even with this year, it might not matter that much because you've already been through free agency, but you're now open to sign, because you didn't really address receiver that much other than a UDFA in the draft. Now you're free to sign a Jawan Jennings or somebody like that. But I kind of liked it.
Absolutely. And hey, Zoe, I appreciate it. He says, my guys. Zoe, let us know if you want to join in with this too. Two-Tone says he might have been a cancer in the locker room since didn't get his way. I'm not sure. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I can agree with that because we didn't know if he was going to sit out either. And I didn't want to see
on
Jonathan
that,
Greenard go.
something I forgot to mention in that, when I got tipped off to the trade being in place, it sounded very likely that Greenard was going to hold out. I completely somehow forgot to mention that, but that was a very major part. Like the Vikings, they got what they could get. They can't make another team give up this crazy draft capital. They got what they could get for somebody that likely wasn't going to play.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think just with Jonathan Greenard, I mean, I would have liked to have seen the second.
For sure.
Who knows? You might have got a first for him if he didn't have the injury, if his stats were a little bit better this last season, and he wasn't demanding a new contract. He still had 2 years left on this deal, and the contract was really a big part of the sticking point of trying to make a trade for Jonathan Greenard. I think more teams would have been in on him if you look at the trade compensation that other teams got for a similar type players. Yeah, the Vikings were definitely probably in that ballpark if he didn't have the injury thing that teams could use as leverage, and again using the contract piece as leverage as well. Barber Fade Up says Greenard is getting up there in age. We need to be younger at the position anyway. He's only 28. I would argue he's still in his prime. We got Andrew Van Ginkel, that's 31. But, I think that the way that they did this, and we can talk more about it, is yes, it does give more playing time for Dallas Turner. kind of step up in that. And by not giving Greenard the new contract as well, it allows them to be able to be ready here in a couple of years to probably give that contract to Dallas Turner. And at the same time, we're probably going to have to figure out what that solution or that replacement piece is maybe going to be for for Andrew Van Ginkel, who's 31 going into this season. So, I mean, that is a possibility. But next year we have a lot of cap space. We have a lot of people that are coming off contracts. So 2027 is going to be an even more intriguing year coming up. Zoe, I did send you that link if you're interested as well. Let's jump in to at least our next topic, which is going to be the draft. And before we do that, I do have a quick little video recap that I want to talk about. So I'm going to bring that up as well too. But before I do that, let's just take a look at who our draft picks were real quick. Caleb Banks taken in the first round, Jake Golday in the second round. We traded down with Carolina to go from 49 to 51. We take Dominique Orange, defensive tackle at number 3, or the third round at number 82. Number 97 in the third round, we take Caleb Tiernan, an offensive tackle out of Northwestern. And then at number 98, right after that, we take Jacoby Thomas, a safety out of Miami. Max Bredesen, he comes over, he's a tight end / fullback, and I think fullback is probably how we're looking to use him. He played 6 games for Michigan as a fullback at number 159. And then Charles Demings out of Stephen F. Austin, cornerback at 163. Damon Claiborne, running back out of Wake Forest at number 198. And then at number 234, Gavin Gerhardt, center out of Michigan State. So that was our NFL draft for the Vikings. We started with 9 picks. We end up, even with trades, at 9 picks with a Greenard trade, and then the trade in the 7th round up to the 6th round to go get Damon Claiborne. We still end up with 9 picks out of this draft. But before we get into that, we want to take a look at, one of the videos that I have that's talking about our number 1 draft pick. And that's no other than Caleb Banks. So this first video is just talking about Caleb Banks and basically his potential production he could have with the Vikings and whether or not that was a good pick. And I'm going to go ahead and add you in here too. All right. Hey, how we doing, Zoe?
My guy, Steve, what's the deal? I appreciate you bringing me on your platform, bro. I appreciate that. I know I missed the other day because I was live, but
no, that's all right.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All good. All right. Before we dig into the draft and Caleb Banks with that first pick, let's go ahead and watch this real quick.
Yeah, you missed all but 3 games last year due to a broken foot. Might cause some teams to shop.
Oh, hold on.
First round at
Maybe.
least,
There we
Kevin.
go.
If so, will they regret not taking him?
Caleb Banks is one of these guys that's tailor-made for the NFL game in the way that they're using certain types of talent. Understand that he is a big 3 technique or a big end. He's more of a 3-4 guy. I say put him in a 4-eye, and he will give you issues. Think about guys on the next level like DeForest Buckner. Think about those tall, new age defensive ends, probably what I would be doing if I came out now.
You're so new age.
I'd be playing in that 4-eye position, and I'd be making the job easy for some stand-up rush guy and creating havoc for this, having a turn protection. And here, Randy's looking at me because that's the thing. When you have a guy that can line up in that wide 4-eye technique, right inside shoulder of that tackle, that guard's got a decision to make. Man, he's looking at that guy like, why am I playing guard having to defend an edge rusher who's 340 pounds on my shoulder? So schematically, he presents a problem. He's one of those guys that good in college, but could be really, really good, maybe bordering on great in the NFL because of what he brings to the table and his physicality and his skill.
All right, guys. So Caleb Banks, he was taken the first round at 18. I think at least initially at that point, we haven't made the Jonathan Greenard trade. And, I think at least my thoughts is I wanted a defensive tackle, but I was looking to trade down. The next defensive tackle off the board didn't go until 29. And that was Peter Woods. And then Kayvon McDonald did not go. Caden McDonald did not go in the first round. but there was chatter that there were some other teams looking at Caleb Banks. There's obviously, as talking about the broken foot injury and the lingering injury that he had, only playing 3 games last year. Brev, you were there in person. Just real quick, talk about what the feeling was like there at the draft, being that you were there in person, and then what was fan reaction or your reaction when Caleb Banks came off the board at 18?
Yeah, I mean, the draft was really fun. If you've never been to an NFL draft, which this was my first, you got to at least go to one. I'll definitely be going to the one next year in DC because thank God that's closer than Pittsburgh is. Pittsburgh, not too far away, but I've been in a car since noon, and like I said, I just got back. Yeah, the fan reaction. First of all, Pittsburgh, what a city, what a fan base. I have a bunch of family from Pittsburgh, so it was almost like a homecoming for me. I know Pittsburgh fans are awesome, so their reactions to their picks were super fun to watch and get video of. As far as Minnesota goes, not much of a reaction to that pick. Like the only other picks they reacted to that weren't theirs were like the place went crazy when Ty Simpson went 13. Yeah, picks like that. But with Caleb Banks, I've got to admit, I wasn't that happy at first. I was never a huge Caleb Banks guy even before the foot injury stuff was brought back up and his consensus draft stock went down because that I always had him as a late first, early second round pick. The thing I have to keep going back to with these defensive picks, which thank God, and me and Zoe talked about this a lot on his show about like Kevin O'Connell and was he gonna swing the ego for offensive players early? No, 4 of their first 5 picks, if I'm not mistaken, are defenders. Caleb Banks, really, it could be very fun. The pick got better, not to spoil any conversation about Big Citrus, but the pick was made much better, I think, by that, to where it made your D-line, we know what it's going to be. It's going to be Dallas Turner and Van Ginkel on the edges, and it's going to be Redmond, Orange, and Banks on the interior. So we've been
eventually. Right?
Eventually, yeah. And I mean, it could be right away if things go correctly, but they did exactly what they needed to do, which was get young defensive talent. And the defense got a lot younger. It sucks that they traded away Greenard because it's hard to say that it got better, but it did get younger. Caleb Banks, I'll remain optimistic about it. I can't lie and say I was super excited about the pick in the moment. But I see the upside there. He's an athletic, physical freak. You just hope he expands the pass rushing arsenal a little bit, and the foot injuries don't completely kick him off track because it's a recurring thing. The foot injury wasn't a one-time thing. He said 2 of those same foot injuries, so that concerns me a bit. But I see the vision, is what I can say.
Eric and then Zoe, what were your thoughts on Caleb Banks? Oh, Eric,
you're muted. You muted.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
All right. I'll try to keep it brief because I was on here with you when that pick happened. I don't hate the pick. I actually was high on Caleb Banks until all the foot injury stuff started to come to light.
Same.
I've got 2 problems with the pick, but this is not to say I don't like the pick. I like Caleb Banks on the team. I love what our D-line looks like right now. Going into this next year. My problem is I don't like, and this is offense or defensive linemen, I don't like foot problems. They don't go away. They linger. They're always just there. There's always the threat of it happening at any time. I don't like it. Also, we didn't see another defensive tackle get picked till 11 picks later. And I have a hard time believing that there was chatter of teams looking at Caleb Banks in the early 20s that weren't willing to pivot to Caden McDonald or Peter Woods. I like Caleb Banks, but I can't accept that this idea that he's so much far and above those other 2 that it would completely change the intention of another team taking a DT that early. And so then my problem is we reached for a pick that we could have traded back. We could have traded back to 23. We could have traded back to 26 or 28 and still got one of those 3 guys and picked up a few other picks along the way, whether it was for this year or next year. That's my problem with the pick, is the process of it, and then the lingering issues of foot problems with a 300-pound lineman.
Zoe?
Me personally, I love the Caleb Banks pick. I'm not gonna lie. I can't get on here and try to sugarcoat it. Like people want to bash the foot problem. That's cool. A lot of people came to the NFL and had foot problem. Like he had a broken foot. That's cool. Sit him till July. Let him get healthy. But overall, he is 6'6", weigh 325 or 30 pounds. Wingspan is crazy. But at the end of the day, like, let's be real. This is a crazy prospect we took with just a broken foot. Ain't like he had a torn ACL or what the word I'm looking for? With Caleb Banks with the knee. They talking about the knee getting worse every year.
Degenerative
knee issue.
Yeah, like we not dealing with nothing like that. Let him sit till July, put him on ice, let him get fully healthy. And B-Flow loved the pick because I'm pretty sure this was a B-Flow guy. But overall, I like the pick. Like, Vikings fans is mad about listen, how many first-round draft picks did the Minnesota Vikings fuck over? Like, this is a draft pick I'm not mad over, man. I love the Minnesota Vikings draft in the whole. And Caleb Banks, to me, is a dog. This is something we've been missing for years on that defensive line. His arm span is crazy. So me personally, I don't hate the pick. It is what it is. I can't be mad because Jason McCarthy got drafted with zero injury history. He gets an NFL. He became injury prone. So hopefully Caleb Banks can shake the injury prone and become healthy. But I do believe he will be a better NFL player than he was a college player. So I'm okay with the pick. I'm okay with the draft for real.
All right, so we've got some positivity, and I'm with you. I mean, the potential, if Caleb Banks is healthy, is massive. Initially, Caleb Banks, again, before the broken foot news came out of the combine, I had him on my mock drafts. So he was a guy that I was targeting as well, too. But, with the broken foot issues and lingering stuff that came out, I'll be honest, my focus was shifted to Peter Woods.
I like Woods.
Yeah, I did too. But that doesn't mean I don't like Caleb Banks.
Facts.
If he's healthy, I like him better than Peter Woods if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Because of the potential that he has. Now, some people want to say, well, he didn't have the stats in college, and some of that has to do with the injuries, of course. But we look at other players that we've drafted that had injury concerns. I know I saw some of the stuff on X2, like Adrian Peterson.
I was about to say that shit.
Adrian Peterson had a lot of injury concerns while he was in Oklahoma at college, and we still took him at number 7 in the draft in the first round. And guess what? For the large part of his career, he had a couple of injuries along the way too, but for the large part of the career, he stayed healthy and was an absolute game-changing beast for us of all-time great. Top 5, if not top 3 running back of all time with Adrian Peterson. Not saying that Caleb Banks is going to be an all-time, but he has the freakish physicality, athleticism that could turn into a potential great.
But Steve, my only issue, I have a problem. Like I said it before on my live earlier today. I have a problem with the Minnesota Vikings fans. We are drafting players, and we are bashing every player we draft. Like the Minnesota Vikings is a Super Bowl motherfucking franchise. Like we done botched so many first round draft picks. So for us to get on Twitter and get on Instagram and TikTok to say this draft pick is bad, this draft pick, like, let them play out. At the end of the day, we never won a Super Bowl. So what the fuck are we missing? And y'all are mad because we took somebody who is 6'6", 330 pounds at D tackle, something we don't have. And y'all are mad about that. Only thing y'all should be mad about is the injury concern And that I understand that, but overall in that, if Caleb Bain never broke his foot, he would have been a top defensive tackle. But at the end of the day, though, Steve, bro, let this shit play out and see what happened afterward. What if the defensive tackle played 6 years and never have a foot or a major injury? We happy with that.
None of these guys, we don't know how they're going to turn out yet.
Yeah, but the fan base, though, the fan base is bashing every pick. Like, they are, like, I see the fan base, like, that's why I barely be on Twitter. I see the fan base on Twitter.
Yeah.
Arguing about every, like, bro, y'all complain about every draft pick we pick. Like, we win fucking Super Bowls. Like, be happy who we pick and keep the shit fucking pushing. Like, that's crazy to me. Like I'm gonna tell you this though, Steve, and this one a part of the reason why the Minnesota Vikings will never win a Super Bowl. The fan base is fucking crazy and delusional, and they fucking bash every fucking player we pick who not on a fucking draft board, like they are in the fucking NFL room.
Zo. Check private chat real quick.
All right, so you're right, Zoe. Our fan base needs, to reel it back because we don't know how these guys are going to turn out yet. And the potential is massive for some of the players that some of them, we did have some confusion because, I think a lot of us have been doing mock drafts now for at least a couple months, and you get married to some of these players that you really like because you think, hey, I can get really good value here, or whatever, PFSN or PFF gave you really good grades, so I think sometimes as fans we get attached to either things that we hear either from podcasters, major media on certain players, and we think that's the guy that we need to have, but ultimately we don't know until they step on the field and actually play out. Yeah, don't worry about it. So, but we don't know how it's going to play out. We really don't. So we have to see how it plays out. So yeah, Vikings Twitter, we just need to relax is what Zoe is saying, and we need to see how these guys start to play on the field.
Yeah, I feel you, Steve. Though, hey, I do want to say this. I apologize for my words. Listen, I was out of the pocket. I said some cursing words. I could have used some other words, but at the end of the day, Vikings fans, y'all need to calm down and quit trying to bash every player we draft in the NFL draft like the Viking fan base is like the Chiefs. Like, we acting like we are winning Super Bowls, or we is on like a top near when it comes to the NFL. Bro, we haven't won nothing. Calm down.
I think there's a bit of a difference. Like, if you want to criticize the job that the team is doing as far as their process and how they're going about their picks and evaluations, that's completely different than like bashing the players. These are college kids that are coming out, living their dream, getting drafted. Like, there's no need to go online and bash the players. There's no reason to trash them as, just because you didn't like that pick. We're not in the evaluations with the team. We're not in the team meetings with them. We don't see everything. So I just think there's a difference, like if you want to criticize the process or the job that the team is doing with their draft picks, that's valid. I mean, considering the team, I think it's like the last 4 or 5 years has been the worst drafting team as far as hit rate on players. But we need to, I think people get overly critical of players, individual players themselves on social media.
That's way to be critical until we see them play,
Yeah.
And if the criticism is fair, then I think the players will think it's fair as well too, as long as it's fair. But let's go ahead. Let's move on to our next pick, and that's Jake Golday that we ended up picking up at 51.
You doing every draft pick?
We'll go through each one a little bit.
Okay.
I won't explain a damn thing.
You don't get a flag for this?
Maybe you were supposed to change your last name.
Depending on how you end up doing it.
And then it
Nah.
all came crashing down.
Now,
Oh, that's
when we
crazy.
take a look at these draft picks, for Jake Golday, I don't think that a lot of names like Jake Golday were on people's draft boards, but I think that's just not because he wasn't a good player. I just don't think that a lot of people thought that we were going to take a linebacker as high as number 2, but I think great pick. You take a look at even just Jake Golday's, and again, you look at his tape and there's some things that pop out about him. But Jake Golday has the opportunity, just like Caleb Banks, is a little bit of a RAS freak. And you saw different posts that put side by sides of Andrew Van Ginkel's, and kind of looks like they're clones of each other as far as how they rated out RAS. So on paper, yes, this all looks good. Don't know until they hit the field. But guys, what are your initial thoughts on Jake Golday? Kinetik, I'll start with you this time. What are your thoughts on Jake Golday going at number 2?
Yeah, so first, I just want to preface it by saying that I think Jake Golday is a really good player. I think he's going to be a high-level starter for this team and in the NFL for a long time. Again, I don't have a problem with the player. Again, and I said this when I was on with you the other day, Brian Flores and I value positions a little bit differently. I didn't think that we should have looked at linebacker in round 2. That's my personal opinion. He determined otherwise. He's probably the one that's right here. But CJ Allen was on the board. If we were not gonna take EMW, CJ Allen was consensus first round talent.
What did he play?
At linebacker at Georgia.
Okay.
And he was a consensus first round talent linebacker. If we were going to pivot to linebacker, if it was that big of a need, why did we pass up CJ Allen for Jake Golday? And I'm not even saying there's not a logical reason to justify it. I haven't seen it yet. So that's my sort of problem with the pick. I also value, safety and corner a little bit higher, so I felt like we should have been looking to that. But as far as the pick itself, if we're just evaluating Jake Golday, where he'll fit in the defense, I think he absolutely is a fit for Brian Flores' defense, and I think he's going to be really good in the NFL.
And I think Brian Flores' handprints were all over at least this first part of the draft for sure. Right. Once we get to number 3 with Dominique Orange, there were posts on there that, hey, I can imagine Brian Flores standing on his head for Dominique Orange, so absolutely. I think, just the interviews and stuff like that. I think Flo had a big take on this. What do you think, Brev?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be a flip-flopper here, but I'm going to take accountability for myself and my words and my actions because I'm a man. Some may say. I called into Rap Show after that pick, and I was not happy about the pick because you have CJ Allen on the board. You have Anthony Hill Jr. on the board. I think I had Golday below Kyle Lewis. But again, this whole entire process is incredibly, incredibly humbling. Just spending months on ranking these players and researching them to a T, and then the NFL just throws you a curveball, and you're like, yeah, no. Kyle Lewis is like a 5th round talent, actually. So I guess I was wrong in that. I think you guys are right about Jake Golday being a Brian Flores type of player. He only played the main thing that concerns me with Golday is like, yes, he's an athlete, and the RAS score is good and everything, but he played 1 year of off-ball linebacker at the University of Cincy. He used to be an edge rusher, which leads people down the road of, oh, well, maybe he can eventually be an Andrew Van Ginkel straight up replacement. Like, no, it means he wasn't good enough to play edge rusher in college football. So why would he be good enough to play edge rusher in the NFL? So I don't look at him as a Van Ginkel replacement, which I'm not saying that you guys were wrong about comparing to Van Ginkel, because athletically they are pretty similar. I think he's an Eric Wilson kind of replacement down the line, because Eric's probably only going to be here. Eric Wilson, not Kinetik, is probably only going to be here. Well, Eric might only be here another year if McCarthy's gone, but he is an Eric Wilson replacement.
No, my guy Mad Max is here now. I'm locked in.
Oh, huge. But yeah,
I got a Michigan guy for Eric.
I think he's an Eric Wilson replacement down the line. So I don't know how much of we'll see of him this year on defense. At least he'll probably be a good special teamer for us his rookie year and earn his way onto the field like they used to do back in the day. But yeah, I think the words I used last night before I came to, which if you're a fan, anything you say within 10 minutes of something happening, whether it's a loss, a big play, a draft pick, anything you say within 10 minutes of that happening, it doesn't count. Like I literally use the words disgusted and irate with rap. I doubled over in the stadium when we took Gold Day because EMW was there, Anthony Hill was there, CJ Allen was there. But it's weird how the 3 picks they made in those first 3 rounds made each pick better. Because when I looked at them individually, I was like, I don't know about this except for Big Citrus, but all 3 of these together, I think it's kind of like a nice medley, a nice little fine wine that might age pretty well.
Zoe, what's your thoughts on Jake Golday in round 2?
I'm not gonna lie, like the pick was kind of crazy, but I won't bash the pick because I watched different type of highlights of this linebacker. One thing I can say, he can cover. He do pass breakup kind of good. He can't get after the quarterback. So at the end of the day, like the pick, it makes sense because we need to get younger at linebacker who can cover running backs out of the backfield. Because Eric Wilson is getting older. If B-Flow liked the pick, I'm pretty sure he had an input on this pick. I like the pick, like, because at the end of the day, who fits your scheme when you run your defensive scheme? So I like this linebacker from Cincinnati. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think in year 1, he gonna come in and make a difference on this defense. He gonna contribute right away. After Eric Wilson, we really had no linebackers that can cover running backs out of the backfield for real. We've been missing that.
And at the end of the day, if you look at Golday's game, I mean, and look at how Flores likes to use the off-ball linebackers. Look at how he uses Blake Cashman and Eric Wilson to punish the running backs, to blitz through the middle of the line. Like Golday's good at that, so he does fit that. Again, as much as I like to that, I think CJ Allen would have been is a better linebacker overall. I have to admit Golday fits what B-Flow likes to do with his defense and with his linebackers.
That I'm saying, by you saying that, that's what we got to respect and look at. Cause we might like a linebacker different, but to run B-Flow defense, I like it. Like I think I seen video of this linebacker. If I'm not mistaken, I think I seen the linebacker playing slot at one time at Cincinnati.
It's possible. I mean, Jake Golday on that defense, obviously he's a standout guy. So, I mean, depending on the different, air raid type offenses that they might have seen during the season and spread offenses, that's maybe what you had to do. But let's move on to round 3. I'm going to cover a little bit more in depth with Dominique Orange, and then we're going to go into the rest of the draft picks at once. But I want to get your guys' thoughts because this was, I guess I want to say a curveball. Because we already took a defensive tackle. So I think a lot of us thought, hey, at 82, I know I was thinking, hey, maybe this is a spot for Mike Washington Jr. Here at 82. Or, are we looking at, we go and grab our center here at this position? That's in mock drafts. That's kind of what we were thinking is somewhere in round 3. We're maybe looking at that, or maybe a play maker at wide receiver. Ted Hurst could have been a position here, but we come out with Dominique Orange. And, after the pick happens and you think about it and this pairing, now we were really deep again at that inside defensive line with the Minnesota Vikings, but we add big Dominique Orange, who's great in the run stuffing game. And that's one of the things I think that we really struggled with last year, especially early on, is stopping the run. And that's what this guy specializes in. He was playing in a 3-3-5 type defense with Iowa State. And the rest of the defensive line with him were smaller, so he really had a big task. He was getting double teamed a lot of the season and still had a huge impact. So Dominique Orange pairing him, and Brev said it earlier, the future lineup could look like, at least up front, could look like Redmond, Orange, and Banks up front. And don't forget about Levi Rodriguez, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, and Elijah Williams, who are also going to be part of that rotation and really good as well. And then on the outside, Andrew Van Ginkel and, of course, Dallas Turner. That's a really good defensive front. So, I mean, how they're trying to shape this defense, what are your thoughts on that? Zoe, I'm going to start with you this time.
With the defense?
Yep, Big Dom, coming into the mix.
Hey, listen. Man, Caleb Banks, Dominique Orange. Man, listen. How you not love the defensive line for the Minnesota Vikings right now? The Vikings that got young, they got faster, and the D line is crazy. Like the Dominique Orange, many Vikings fans projecting him to go to the Vikings in a lot of draft picks, because I did a lot of my drafts. I picked them, but like I love the pick. Like him and Caleb Banks, where Redmond is going to go crazy, and the one thing we forgetting about. Brian Flores is the teacher who is about to teach the defensive linemen on that defensive line. They are about to eat. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't bash no picks the Minnesota Vikings took in this NFL draft. The D line, I love it. The linebacker, it makes sense. And I know what he could do because I watched Taste, but we got to see what we do at the next level though. But the defensive line, I love the play we took Orange and Banks on that D line to go with Redmond and go with Drake. Man, this defensive line looking good, and we are young. We are young and fast and better compared to last year. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Brev, we add Big Dom, and he said he didn't initially like that nickname, but it kind of grew on him. But we got Big Citrus next to hopefully Banks and Redmond. Like the pick? What was your thought in time there at the draft, and what was the reaction?
Here was my exact reaction to the Dominique Orange pick live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Friday night.
You liked it. All right.
It immediately made the Caleb Banks pick better to me.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's exactly when I saw the vision. Because I want to say, I can't remember if it was right after the Golday pick or right after the Orange pick that we traded Greenard. But it was then I saw the vision, like I mentioned earlier, of what the defensive line could look like in the future. And I'm a huge fan. We sing all these praises about the Brian Flores defense and everything, the same way a lot of people praise the Kevin O'Connell offense. Well, with the Kevin O'Connell offense, it can pass when it has good quarterback play going with it, but it can't run the ball for S-word. I almost slipped there. With the Brian Flores defense, it's the best pass defense in the league with a bunch of bums relative to top NFL tier talent. Shout out to my king Fabian Moreau as well as James Pierre and another draft pick we're going to talk about. I called it again. The run defense for Brian Flores has been pretty bad. I know like we shut down Saquon last year, but Saquon wasn't Saquon last year. In that Philly game, we had I think it was the 22nd or the 23rd ranked run defense in the NFL last year. So the Brian Flores defense, believe it or not, if you're here for the first time, the Brian Flores defense does have some chinks in the armor. So getting Dom Orange to kind of remedy that is big time. We've got our big nose tackle to just fill gaps, and I love it. It's one of my favorite picks of the draft for sure. I had him going like in the second round in a lot of my 7-round mock draft, so I'm a huge fan.
Norris, welcome to the comments. He says this defense is going to put a strangle on opposing offenses. Eric, what's your thoughts on Big Dom?
Yeah, I love this pick. Aside from from Mad Max, this is probably my favorite pick of the entire draft. He's probably one of the players that I mocked over and over to us, probably more than any player outside of Bredesen. I think it's an incredible pick. It instantly, like Brev said, it instantly made the Caleb Banks pick better. From an insurance standpoint, but also from a complimentary standpoint. We needed a nose tackle. Caleb Banks could probably play nose tackle, but he's not a nose tackle. Big Citrus is a nose tackle. He is the one that's going to eat up the double teams. He's the one that's going to open up the holes for the blitzing linebackers. He's the one that's going to control the line to let all of our pass rushers terrorize opposing quarterbacks. And putting that together with the defensive line, to me, again, up to this point, with the opinions that I've expressed about the first two picks, this was the turning point of the draft. This is when I started to feel like, okay, now we're doing something. I absolutely love Big Citrus. I think he's incredible. He's my favorite nose tackle in the draft. Absolutely love this pick.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I like to hear. All
right, we got two more that we did because we had a total of 3 picks in round 3 after the Jonathan Greenard trade, and we ended up getting Caleb Tiernan, an offensive tackle out of Northwestern, 6'8" guy, all Big Ten selection. And then we also followed that up because we had back-to-back picks at 97 and 98 with Jacoby Thomas, a safety out of Miami. And, I think Jacoby Thomas plays with a lot more attitude, and I think I like a little bit of that swag that Jacoby Thomas is going to bring to us. Norrisfield says Jacoby Thomas is going to be a beast. Just on those final 2 picks in the 3rd round, did you guys like the picks? Just real quick, around the horn. Brev, start with you, and then Eric and Zoe. Just real quick, what did you guys think about those 2 picks to follow up the 3rd?
It was a couple other instances of like in the moment I'm like, that's not who I'm hoping for, but it's just so hard to predict that the draft was going to go the way it did. With the Tiernan pick definitely surprised me a little bit because I've been steadfast that you hear about Brian O'Neill getting traded or sent off or something. I think those talks are just I guess nonsense is a mean word to say, but he's only 30. I know people get scared when they see that age. I think he's going to get.
You want to resign O'Neill?
I think they're going to extend him.
But why?
Because he's not a bad tackle whatsoever.
He's not old. I'm with
not
you, Brev,
old.
on that part too.
Not,
it's going to be more of a salary cap issue.
Not old though, but do you agree we can do better at that tackle spot?
You probably can, but I don't think this was an instance of them trying to replace Brian O'Neill. I think it was maybe insurance because Brian O'Neill is getting banged up for sure. And while he's not old, he is starting to get up there in age. But I think O'Neill's going to get extended. With Tiernan, you're looking at hopefully like a high quality swing tackle, I think, in the league. Even though we signed Ryan Van DeMark from Buffalo, which is another reason why the Tiernan pick kind of confused me, but I don't hate it. And then Jacoby Thomas, he's really fun. He's a Brian Flores defensive back for sure. He's a thumper, and I'm really excited to see him.
Yeah.
I think that tackle out of Buffalo as well too. I think they thought that he could
play
a little bit of guard.
Hey Steve, I gotta get out of here.
No, that's all right. I appreciate you joining us, though. If you guys want to check out,
yeah,
absolutely. A quick shout out into Zone. Make sure that you check him out on YouTube as well too. So thanks for joining us as well, Zoe. All right, guys. Kinetik, just real quick. Oh my, I don't like that view. There we go. What are your thoughts on those last 2 picks with Tiernan and Jacoby Thomas?
So I'll try to be quick on this. I can't say I like either pick. I don't hate the players. The Tiernan pick I like a little bit less. because, like Brev said, we signed a swing tackle. I don't think he's a long-term replacement for either Darisaw or O'Neal. And I felt like center is the position on the O-line that is much more up in the air. We've got Blake Brandell starting there this year for the first time being a full-time starter, and that's still kind of an experiment. So we don't know if that's going to happen, and I don't like the depth on the interior line. So I felt like, why are we taking a tackle here? If we wanted to take a tackle here, there were more than a handful of tackles that can also play inside, that could play all along the line at guard and center as well if needed. That said, I don't think Tiernan's a bad player. I think he has the potential for a long career as a swing tackle, depth tackle. I just didn't understand the pick, and it felt like the Ty Felton pick a little bit, where we're reaching for a depth piece way earlier than we needed to. The Jacoby pick, in the moment, I didn't know much about this guy at all. I knew he played for Miami, but I hadn't watched his tape. I didn't know he was on the radar for the Vikings. After watching his tape, I see where he fits into B-Flow's defense. He's a blitz-happy safety. He's very good at that. But we already have Josh Metellus. And I kind of thought that the point of drafting another safety was to allow Metellus to be that rover bandit safety that can play in the box, that can play on the line, that can move around. I'm not sure why we needed another blitzing safety over a coverage safety. That's after watching his film, I like the player. Like I'm gonna enjoy watching him in a Vikings uniform, but I don't like the pick for the reason I just stated.
Yeah. So you don't like the player. You just thought that, hey, with those picks, we could have went in a different direction, maybe addressed that elsewhere in the draft.
Effectively, yeah. I don't think either one is a bad player.
Sure. All right. So moving on, because I know you're going to love this, Eric. The very next pick that we made at 159 is your Michigan Wolverines, Max Bredesen. He again, I mentioned before, he played 6 games at fullback. I think we're bringing him more as the fullback piece with no CJ Ham anymore with us. And then we followed that up with Charles Demings out of Stephen F. Austin at cornerback. And then Damon Claiborne, we traded up back into the 6th. From the 7th, and we got rid of one of those picks, and then we got Damon Claiborne, running back out of Wake Forest, shifty, speedy guy as well too, and then Gavin Gerhardt. We addressed the center position a little bit later on with him at pick 234 in the 7th. So for those final 4 picks, if you guys want to just give me a quick analysis synopsis, I'll start with Eric, because I know you're just chomping at the bit to talk about Max Bredesen.
Well, real quick, I'll run through the other 3, and I'm going to use most of my time for Max. With Gavin Gerhardt, I can't really say one way or the other. I don't know much about him. I haven't had the opportunity to go back and watch any film on him. I know he's a center from Cincinnati, but I don't know anything about him. So I can't really comment on that. Damon Claiborne, I wish we would have went running back earlier, but if we were going to wait this late, I think this is the best possible outcome. I think Claiborne I think I had him 6th running back, roughly. I have to go back and look. Definitely guys I wish we would have looked at earlier, but I like Claiborne. My biggest question with Claiborne is his size. Is he going to be able to be a 3-down running back in the NFL? I don't know, but I'm happy to watch him and find out. Demings, again, I know Brev's going to kind of go along with Demings because that's his guy. I like Demings. I think he's an athletic freak. His arms, I mean, he's got to be from another planet. It's insane. He can tie his shoes standing up. It's nuts. I think Demings is going to be great, but I think he's going to need some development time. With Max, I want to make the case for Vikings fans that don't know who Max Bredesen is. This guy, I mean, he's going to embody what you want in a Vikings player. The younger brother of Ben Bredesen, offensive lineman, I think for the Giants right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Ben Bredesen, he was a quarterback in high school. He was a dual threat quarterback in high school in the same recruiting class as JJ McCarthy. walked on at Michigan as a legacy recruit because of his brother. Made the switch to fullback / tight end, or what they call H-back. I mean, this guy, he went from, I mean, it's the ultimate underdog story. Went from walk-on QB to a 2-time captain, with including when he was on the 2023 national championship team where he won the most improved player on offense that year. Hold on, I've got my notes here on him. I had prepared. Now I'm getting lost in them. He plays all 4 phases of special teams. Every special teams he's going to be a contributor on. He's the best blocker in the draft. He's just that hard-nosed, blue-collar guy that you want in the trenches blocking for your team. He is going to, I promise you, if you watch anything with him, if you meet him, if you watch how he plays, he's going to be that guy that invigorates the team. He's going to play to the echo of the whistle every play, give 100% every play. And as I love CJ Ham, CJ Ham was shouting Max Bredesen out on X, effectively passing the torch to him. But he's more than just a blocker. He can line up at tight end. He can block inline. He can move out to the slot. He's not going to be an all-world pass catcher, but he can catch the ball. He can pass block, which is one of the biggest questions about our running back room. He can line up as a running back in the backfield and pass block. He can run the ball. I absolutely love him. Max Bredesen. I think he's going to be another lifetime Viking.
That was honestly shorter than I thought you might go on Max Bredesen, especially when you talked about your notes. It seems like you did extensively more work on Michigan players for some odd reason.
No reason at all. No reason at all.
Brev, your thoughts on those last 4 picks that we had in the draft?
Yeah, I love Max Bredesen. He was a common mock a little earlier than you'd think he'd go, just because we're so used to mock drafting him at 234, 235. But again, the NFL thinks differently than the common man, obviously.
Brev, if you watch Nowakowski and the other blocking H-back style guys, they all went earlier.
No, that's what I was going to say. You got to remember Nowakowski went to Pittsburgh 7 picks later, maybe.
Yep. One of the quote, I forget which one, I have to go back and look. One of the coaches that was a former Michigan coordinator was coming up and looking at him. So
Bredesen's definitely the best of that cluster of tight ends that are going to be fullbacks. Big fan of Bredesen. With the center Gerhardt, shout out Toby, bringing the Gerhardt name back to Minnesota with Gavin. Gavin Gerhardt. I think Norris said he was mentored by Jason Kelsey, which is true. That's one of the very few things I know about him. I'm not confident enough to speak on him, so hopefully he pans out. Damon Claiborne. I'm obviously not going to read all this, but these are my notes on Damon Claiborne I had from the draft
season.
You got
Kinetik type notes on Claiborne.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's only one way to do it. Damon Claiborne. People are afraid of his size. Obviously, it's a limitation, but he goes down harder than his size lets on. I think it was Matt Waldman who does a really, really good comprehensive draft guide for quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends every year. Had him as his running back 4, and had his comp spectrum as Marshall Faulk as the top, James Cook is the middle, and then Steve Slayton as the low end comp. Which again, I know there's some bonanza names that you're comping him to, but that's just part of the fun with this, honestly. So I do love Claiborne, and some of that may have to do with some of my own bias that I'm not above admitting that I have, because he's from 30 minutes away from me. And then the man of the hour, Kinetik called Max Bredesen. Shout out Kinetik for that. I've been calling, along with my friend Dominic that I went to the draft with. Shout out Dom. That's my brother. He put me on to Charles Demings. This is early February. And I've been pounding the table for Charles Demings for almost the entire draft process post Super Bowl, on shows, on Twitter, and Discord. Did Charles Demings play mediocre competition in the FCS? Yeah, obviously. Is Charles Demings going to contribute right away? No, he is a project, but he's a Brian Flores cornerback. And like there's a picture out there of Charles Demings that is just ridiculous that shows his arm length. And it's actually like it kind of scares me a little bit. I have to see if here we go. He could tie his shoes standing up. I love Charles Demings. Super physical corner. He's tall. He's got good weight. He's lengthy. Perfect project corner for Brian Flores. I'm a big Demings guy. Me and Dom were in the truck. I think we were still in Pennsylvania. I sent you a link,
D Woods.
Yeah, we were still in the truck in Pennsylvania when we took Demings, and me and Dom have been showering Demings with praise for months. And I've been teasing Dominic for months, like, oh, he's going to be a Viking, right? He's like, get Jens mitts off him. He's a Stiller. And the pit came through, and I just started yelling in the truck, and he knew immediately. He was like, no. And I was like, yeah. So when that came through, I was hyped. I know he's a project corner, but I think Vikings fans should be very, 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 very excited about Chucky D.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
can I just throw out one quick note on Bredesen that I forgot to? So not only did he achieve 2-time captain at Michigan, but in 2025 he earned all Big Ten honors. He won the Loman Trophy as the nation's top fullback, the Blue Collar Award, and was a 2-time winner of the Toughest Player of the Year award.
You know, Eric, I'm gonna have to get. Anytime you come on the show, I'm gonna have to have it in my mixing board here, like the Big Blue school song. That way, it's in the background whenever you pop hit.
Hail to the Big Blue.
Yeah. Don't forget the most important thing, Kinetik, that Bredesen did. He's a 2025 Lowman Trophy Award winner from the fine gentleman at Pardon My Take on Barstool Sports. That's huge. Not many people get that.
All right, so Minnesota Vikings undrafted free agents. We had 19 individuals. I know we talked about one of our mock drafts, Scooby Williams from Texas A&M, but here's a list: Thomas Rimac, offensive lineman Tristan Lee, offensive tackle Keyshawn Owens, running back Brett Thorson, a punter that we're bringing in, compete maybe with Johnny Hecker, Dylan Bell, wide receiver, Cameron Stewart, edge, Shalik Knotts at wide receiver, Jacob Thomas, defensive back, like Wysong, wide receiver, Marcus Allen, cornerback, Devion Armstead, cornerback, Jodan Botello, outside linebacker, Monkel Goodwine, defensive line, Tyreek Chappelle at corner, Kelly Lawson, linebacker, Delby Lemieux, offensive lineman, Marcus Sanders Jr., wide receiver, and Arden Walker, outside linebacker. Any of these names stand out to you gentlemen as far as, you know, maybe somebody that's that undrafted free agent that, it's way too early, but somebody you like as a potential individual to make the 53?
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I knew like 3 or 4 of these before you just put up the list. Because again, I've been in the car, so I haven't been able to see a lot of it. I knew about Scooby Williams. I knew about Dylan Bell. I love the Dylan Bell thing. I had no idea that we got Tristan Lee, Marcus Allen, Brett Thorson too, punter from Georgia, right?
Yep. Or no, not was
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Might be Georgia Tech.
Dylan Bell was from Georgia. I don't remember where Thorson.
Dylan Bell's from Georgia. I can't remember. I don't know who I'm getting Thorson mixed up with, but yeah, I'm pretty high. Tristan Lee, I thought was going to go maybe early day 3. Marcus Allen, I thought might have gone in the 7th. But yeah, I like the look of these.
All right. Well, guys, I want to go into our next topic that we have, and that's going to be checking at what our depth chart is going to look like going into the season. And again, this is way too early. I didn't have a Brevi depth chart little icon to put on here to start. But, when we take a look at our depth chart and what that's going to look like, I know that might be hard to see for you guys, but, this is just based off of the depth chart that's out there. And I did do my best to, AI wasn't being nice to me, but I was able to manually make the change on Bredesen's last name. I couldn't make that mistake for you. But again, you're going to have to put on those glasses. for that. It's kind of small there. But anyways, just taking a look at the depth chart, some of the things that I like about this depth chart when you take a look at it is obviously the additions that we made on the defensive side of the ball. And probably the biggest one, obviously sticking out with a sore thumb, is what we did in inside defensive line. But also we got some depth now at linebacker with Jed Golday. So that adds some pieces there because we just had Eric Wilson and Blake Cashman, and behind them we brought back Ivan Pace. So we definitely need to address that position. On top of that, we don't know if Harrison Smith's going to come back, so we had to address the safety position by bringing in Jacoby Thomas. So whether it was Jacoby Thomas or a different safety, we had to do that. And then at the same time, I think just because we know we brought back Aaron Jones, we have some question marks going into next season at running back. So Damon Claiborne. So the depth chart, we have some more backups, if you will, on the offensive line as well. But initial thoughts on the depth chart, or anybody, that you see on the depth chart right now that may move up or change that depth chart. Me personally, when I look at this, and yes, he was a first-round draft pick, but I still have questions on how healthy he is as far as to get up to speed. I don't know for sure if Banks or Dom are going to come in and take that from Levi Drake Rodriguez as far as the starting spot right away. I still think that Levi Drake Rodriguez is probably going to be there. And then still Elijah Williams could take a big jump, and he looked really good last year. Tyron Ingram Dawkins could surprise some people. So I just initially, at least in 2026, what do you think that defensive front's going to look like? And is there anyone else that you think is going to maybe surprise us on this depth chart?
Yeah, so I do think that Dominic Orange is going to start at nose tackle from day one. I think he's the better pure nose tackle on the roster instantly. Caleb Banks might take a little bit before he's inserted as the starter, depending on how he comes back from the injury. I think you definitely need to swap QB 1 and 2. And I also think that
do you really think that's going to happen though?
If it's a fair competition, yes. But I also think that I don't think that Murray signed here without a guarantee to be the starter week 1. But anyway, I don't think Bartholomew is going to be on the team. I think the versatility of Max Bredesen, I think you'll see him slotted into the 4 deep at tight end, because I think he can do everything that Bartholomew can do, and he can do more. I think Jurassic's higher than Bartholomew on the depth chart. And then
he's got a lot to prove. He was a 6th round pick last year. Bartholomew was. He was injured all of last year. So we really don't know what we have in him. And I think there's a roster spot set already for Bredesen as a fullback. So I don't think that's necessarily, not saying he can't play some tight end.
I'm saying on the depth chart though, like he's got the fullback roster spot, but as far as the depth chart. Because if you go based on the last couple of years, I think fullback is only on the field as a fullback for 20% of the plays.
Sure.
But the plays when we had a second tight end in there, when we had Oliver, or what was the guy that left? Vanini, I think was his name. Jurassic was on the field. I think you could see Bredesen also get snaps on the line as well, is what I'm saying. And I think he would get snaps on the line ahead of Bartholomew. But I also think that I really want to see him figure out how to let Metellus be that rover again. I love Metellus, another Michigan guy. I don't like seeing him have to play nickel corner. Like that doesn't work. That's not his game. He's not even truly a coverage safety. His strength, even in college, and I think it's been the same once he got under the tutelage of Brian Flores, is being able to move him in and out of the box, move him around the field, and have him attack the different pressure points on the offense. That's always been his strength. And when he's having to stay back in coverage, it doesn't work. When he's having to cover a receiver like a nickel corner, it doesn't work. So I don't know. I also think I very strongly we need a new wide receiver. Can you guys still? Hello?
Yep. We can hear you.
Sorry, my monitor is just went out for a second. So I think we need a wide receiver 3. I think we need to look at, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins or somebody else. I think we need to figure out something better there, because I am not sold on Ty Felton as wide receiver 3 right now.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if that makes it any better as far as you seeing it, but when we take a look at this depth chart, I don't think that we have that position set in stone yet. We have $16 million in salary cap space yet. We still have the ability to go out to get somebody that's a free agent out there that could come in. But taking a look at this, maybe you still need your readers, Brev. I see you getting a little bit closer. What are your thoughts when you take a look at this roster, this depth chart? And again, this isn't my depth chart. This is the depth chart as it sits right now that's put out there after the new additions from the draft.
Yeah, TJ Hawkinson still being on this team, it's like a jump scare whenever I see him as the starting tight end. So that's the first thing I noticed. But Kinetik touched on the safety room. Josh Metellus is not your traditional deep backfield safety. The safety room went, I guess, other than Jacoby Thomas, kind of went mostly untouched, which was a bit of a surprise, especially when they went Gold A instead of taking Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, who I was a large fan of in the process and had over Thieneman, who I want to say thank God he went to the Bears, but I'm sure I'd end up getting torched for that one. But hopefully he's the one that gets torched. The safety room scares me a little bit, but again, I keep coming back to it's Brian Flores. I mean, Fabian Moreau was the best cornerback on the best passing defense in the NFL last year by yardage. So it was either the best or the second best.
I mean, you can say that it was the best passing, as far as stats, but we watched the games, Brev. Our corners and safeties were getting burnt every game.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the defense was the reason that this team was able to have a winning record. And even somehow with the run defense, when the defense is that good and you're carrying the offense, no matter who was at quarter, it's not even a McCarthy dig, but just with the borderline pathetic with the offense last year, both passing the ball and running the ball. The fact you're able to get a winning record with that and statistically being one of the best pass defenses in the league, which, yeah, for sure, at times they were burned. That lack of personnel absolutely showed. And that was part of the reason why I wanted them to go high on a corner or a safety, whether it was EMW, whether it was AJ Halsey, the Jermon McCoy fall. I mean, who could have predicted that?
Yeah.
I thought he'd fall out of the first round. I didn't know he'd go to day 3, but if it is a degenerative knee issue for sure, then that makes sense. But I don't know. Just I want, even if you can make chicken salad out of nothing, I need more young talent in that secondary. It's not there right now. And I love Josh Metellus. Josh Metellus connects completely right. He's a rover. He's not your traditional backfield safety, free safety.
I mean, he started as a linebacker at Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. And Theo Jackson, honestly, he graded out fine by PFF for whatever that's worth, but he's very replaceable.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me saying I think we should have paid Cam Bynum all that money, which I think we were still right for not doing that. But the TJ Hawkinson still being on my football team pisses me off. But I need young talent in the secondary. But I am happy. It was very apparent that they got the memo there's nobody below 28 years old on this defense outside of Dallas Turner that has true upside. And I'm glad they did attack that.
And even beyond the talent and depth of the corner room, and I kind of agree with you on Cam Bynum, but the problem with letting Cam Bynum go is that he was the safety that could play nickel. So he allowed us to have the smaller cornerback room. And losing Cam Bynum really forced, and with Hitman and his issues and everything, really forced Metellus to play out of position. And when you stack that on top of Byron Murphy also playing, in my opinion, out of position, I feel like he should be our full-time nickel corner, not the boundary corner. I think that's in large part where we keep seeing them get burnt, because they're playing out of position. So if Demings can come in and be trained up to be that boundary corner, that's one problem fixed. But now we still got to have the replacement for Hitman, and we still got to figure out a way to let Metellus go back to his natural position.
Yeah, that was a huge reason I wanted Traden Stukes at 49, but he was gone before that because I think Traden Stukes could have been that nickel corner.
Yep.
So seeing him go before 49, I wasn't shocked by any means. I think he's that good of a player, but that's who I would have wanted to kind of take on that role for sure. Something big just happened?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm watching Wolves Nuggets right now, and
Injury.
a huge fight. I don't know if that just happened or if that's from previous, but between Jokic and Jaden McDaniels in this game, Wolves end up taking down the W. So
yeah, but there's a major injury, knee injury.
Two major injuries. They lost DiVincenzo and Ant tonight.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I haven't been watching it that close, obviously, because we've been doing the pod, but great to get the win. Hopefully those injuries aren't serious, but
unfortunately,
the 301.
The one for Ant
torn Achilles.
Yeah, and the one for Ant looked bad. Like it could carry over to next season.
Yeah, Ant's done probably until.
And I'm not a big NBA fan, but I saw the injury and it looked bad.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like, yeah.
It wasn't like Kevin Ware, like Gordon Hayward bad, but just like the way his legs snapped when he came down, like snap back. Like it was
like the worst hyperextension you could have. I mean, something probably got torn.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible news. Yeah. All right, guys, on to the next topic. Hopefully, we get better news for Ant.
I just want to put this call out there. I didn't get to when you were doing the UDFA thing. If anybody has a contact with the wide receiver Dylan Bell, put him in touch with Barber. He needs to meet Barber. If anyone that wants to know what I'm talking about, go look up. Just Google him. Look at his hairline. Barber needs to help this guy.
I was wondering what was going on in the comments with the hairline.
just Google Dylan Bell. You'll see.
But
if anybody has a connection with Dylan Bell, get him in touch with Barber.
Let me talk to my people for Barber.
Guys, did Rob Brezezinski in this draft, was this enough to lock him in for the GM position? Is it up in the air, or do we just straight out need to go out and find a new GM? What were your guys' thoughts after free agency and the draft from what you've seen so far from the interim GM, Rob Brezezinski? Brev?
Yeah, I don't know. Even during the draft, probably I don't think Brezezinski wants the job, to be honest. But assuming he does, for the sake of the topic, I mean, even then it's hard to say because there was a lot of processes in this draft that did remind me of how we drafted when Kwesi was here. And that's not me saying the draft was bad, but the processes seem similar and the philosophy. Because Kwesi was the only one that got ousted. The scouting team is still there. All your personnel are still there in the front office outside of Kwesi. And if the Vikings organization really is as collaborative as they claim to be to our faces when they hold their press conferences, then I don't know if Brezezinski, like for sure, I'm sure he had the final call and he sent the pick in and God knows whatever else that they have him do. But I don't know. And I say it's similar because I think they went for like the athletic kind of freaks, especially in the Banks and the Golday picks, instead of just probably people who are better football players at those positions. So that's where I think the processes are similar, but I don't know. It's hard to say right now. I know it's a bit of a cop-out answer to say, I don't know. They haven't played yet. Maybe. I hope so. Hope it was a good draft. But at the least, it set a foundation and a vision because, yeah, we took athletic freaks, but they took big defenders. Caleb Banks is huge. Caleb Banks is almost too big at 6'6", playing interior defensive line. But him and Golday, like the Charles Demings pick, they took big athletic dudes who could become legitimate playmakers. Like the ceiling is way higher than if you took a Caden McDonald at 18, but the floor is way lower. Yeah. So it's like it's a big time gamble, and it reminds me a lot of what the Kwesi drafts were like, minus the trading out of this guy's for sure going to be good with Kyle Hamilton. But yeah, hopefully the Vikings, I guess, brass above Brezezinski, which the Wilfs freaking love Rob Brezezinski. I don't know if he could have done anything wrong in their eyes in this draft. But there's a obvious route that they're going and trending towards, and I think it's a good thing in my opinion. So if he wants the job, I'm sure he's a shoe-in to get it. But I'd be remiss to say if I didn't like the direction.
Eric, what did you think of the audition?
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a waffle answer because I think that tonight's draft, at least in the immediate rear view, looks to be better than they did in the previous years. It didn't start off that great, and I question how much of the process itself has changed because the entire scouting staff is the same. So then it's a question for me of how much of tonight was Rob's influence, how much of it was KOC and B-Flow, and how much of this is the new direction. How much does it differ from what it was before, considering that the entire scouting staff is the same, and how much of it is sustainable long term? I don't know. I like Brev said, I think if he wants the job, it's probably his. But I don't know if I want him to take the job because he's been such a valuable piece of that front office for so long.
Regardless, I want him with the organization.
Right, and that's why I say that I think I might not want him to take the job, because if he does take the job and it doesn't work,
right,
it's kind of hard for the Wilfs to keep him on when they make that change. And when you got a coach who may be on the hot seat in the next year or two, and usually very often you'll see coaches and GMs fired at the same time, it becomes very difficult then to keep Brezezinski on if he takes the role of GM, and then you're looking at having to fire. So, I mean, I'm kind of okay based on what we've seen if he wants the job to take it. But if I had to make the decision, I probably don't want him to take the job.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you guys. I think it's, a lot of it has to do with is it a job that he really wants to do, and at the same time, is it worth losing him over in the organization when he's been with us for like 28 years? We don't want to lose him regardless. So however the Wilfs end up playing this out, we'll have to stay tuned and see what this looks like at the end of everything. Rob Brezezinski, we'll have to see what ends up happening with him going forward.
I do think it's really funny that, and again, I don't know how much Kwesi has pull in the 49ers organization after just going back to them. I do think it's really funny that right after Kwesi goes there, they have two of just the worst picks I've ever seen. And that this might come back to bite me, but Deshaun Stribling at 33 and then Kalen Black in the third round was just so laughable to me, and it didn't hit me till 5 minutes later after the Kalen Black pick. It was like, oh wait, Kwesi's there.
Well, and don't forget they pulled a Kwesi special in the first round. They traded back twice and then got sniped for the guy they were trying to aim for.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true.
But I will say, did you know Deshaun Stribling is the nephew of The Rock, Don Morocco from WWE?
I think I did hear that. I was going to point out your Heath Slater shirt, but I think I did hear that.
Yeah, I did not know that until I saw something about it earlier when he got picked.
Yep.
So I had mentioned once we get to 250 subscribers on YouTube, if you're not already subscribed, go to Vikings Playbook. I do have that autographed Jordan Addison jersey. I'm going to be giving it away to one of our subscribers once we get to 250. And the other cool thing that I'm doing during Vikings Playbook in our podcast is I'm doing a card break. And if you guess what team the player is that is in this package, one of one Electric Leaf signature card packs, you get the card if you want me to send it to you. So if you're in the comments right now, go ahead and throw in the comments what team you think this player is that I'm about to break. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes while we're trying to wrap up the rest of the show here. But go ahead and throw in the comments, and Brev and Eric, if you want to take a stab at it, you can too. So I want the NFL team or college, if you're choosing to say a college team in here for a player. So
we
either
pick
an NFL team
either
or a college
You
team.
pick one pro and one college.
You know what? I'll let you
Keep
do
in mind,
one
keep
pro.
in mind, there's 136 Division
I'll do
One
one pro
FBS
and one
college.
college. I'll do one pro and one college if you guys want to take a stab at that. So go ahead and throw in the comments real quick. We'll go ahead and wrap up the rest of the show, and then we'll end it with this card break as well. And like I said, if you're not already following us, make sure that you follow us on X, YouTube, Facebook, and then Instagram and TikTok. And I can't say enough, make sure that you're following Eric at Kinetik 615 on X. Also, Brevin Bain at Brevin Bain on X. And go ahead and check out Scotial Network. So at the Scotial Network, that's also on YouTube and X. Brevin Bain's doing a great job with his podcast that's back up and running. And then also make sure that you're checking out the stuff that we're doing over at Purple PTSD. Both Brev and I both write at Purple PTSD. So make sure that you're checking that out and all the great things that we're putting out there on Vikings News Daily over at purpleptsd.com. And then you can also check out some of Brev's writings over at heavy.com as well. Anything that I missed, Eric or Brev?
Well,
I just want to know.
I just want to know: are me and Brev, are we eligible for the jersey win as well? Because I mean, listen, I could use another jersey so that I have one that's not JJ McCarthy, and I can stop being called a fake Vikings fan. Like that would actually be a really good win for me.
If you guys are subscribed, absolutely, it'll be a random drawing. So any of my subscribers that are on there, I tell you what, if either you, Eric, or Brev end up winning that jersey, I'll do an additional jersey giveaway if you win that random jersey.
Huge.
So I'm live saying that. So I have multiple Addison autographed jerseys. So yes.
That's awesome.
So if that ends up happening, I'd be willing to do another giveaway for another fan on there. So potential of 2 jerseys out there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my name out there doing that.
I forgot I don't have to shave my head.
That is true. I was gonna say that in the draft when Mansour Delane got drafted. I was like, well, you know what? Brev's not gonna see this anyways. But yes,
major for the brand.
Were you surprised at all? Were you surprised, and was the crowd surprised when the Chiefs moved up to 6 to get Mansour Delane?
Not really. 99% of the people there don't do the same amount of work that we do on the. It was. The big reactions were like the Ty Simpson pick. The place went bananas when the Steelers took Drew Aller. That was pretty awesome. Jeremiah Love at 3 got a little bit of a roar, but they're pretty
Mansour Delane to the Chiefs though was our pre-draft pick for the Chiefs. We did a mock for all 32, and we did have Mansour going to the Chiefs.
I questioned whether they needed to move up to 6 to get him. I mean, was there somebody else looking to trade up to get him? I don't know. I feel like that's the only. I think I feel like that's
so much smoke screens, right? And you just never know. And if he was your guy, they had to weigh that into their decision whether hey, we have to go get him.
And I wonder if the information everyone had on McCoy was made it even like more. You know what I'm saying? Like more just like we have to go up and get this guy because McCoy's not an option.
The information on McCoy, the information on Ruben Bain, most NFL teams probably knew that he was going to fall. I don't think none of the NFL teams seemed that high on the Eneman or EMW that high in the draft. So I think the Chiefs just traded up and got their guy.
So if I can ask this real quick, Brev, last year I watched my guy Will Johnson slide to the second round because of the knee issue. What I heard on McCoy was just a cartilage, like meniscus type deal. Is it worse than that? Because I have trouble seeing why he would slide that far for a meniscus concern.
So he's probably got to get another surgery, and he might not even play this year. Yeah. He's got some kind of bone plug or something that he might have to get surgically repaired. And there's also legitimate concern that it's a degenerative knee issue. And that's why he fell all the way to day 3.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and do the card break. It is sealed here. I do see Titans out there, Jets, Packers, Boston College, Michigan that's on here.
I'll always pick Michigan.
Well, maybe one of these days you'll eventually get it then here too.
How crazy would it be if it was a Max Bredesen card?
Major.
All right. Well, this I don't believe any of you guys got this. This is Evan Sabota. So this is a college
college
player
is
here. I'm trying to get it to.
Is that Wyoming?
I believe it's Wyoming.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Evan
okay.
Sabota. So we can get actual autographed signature cards out of these packs. These are one
That's
of
cool.
ones that are in here too. So we don't have a winner this time, but one of these days, I'm sure, especially if
It'll
you keep
happen.
picking Michigan, you're going to eventually hit on one, maybe a Max Bredesen.
What was his name again on the card?
Evan Sabota.
Oh, damn, that was my actual guess. My next guess was that.
It was Evan Sabota. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Huge.
Well,
Keep an eye
one
on
of
him.
these times you might be able to hit it again.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much, Brev and Eric, for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. And then I know I want to do this more and more with you guys. And I love the vibe that we keep having on with both you, Eric and Brev. And thanks to all of you guys out there that are commenting and following along with the show. North Vias Barber, Skull Mafia, appreciate that two-tone. And anyone else I may be missing in there, Bob Sweet, appreciate all you guys joining in tonight, and then also following us like you did during day one of the draft. So much appreciated. You can watch our show also on purpleptsd.com if you want to watch it back, or on YouTube. So as always, guys, I appreciate it. And for Vikings Playbook, again, your Sunday starts here. And until next time, Skull Vikings, we're out.